In a world that constantly broadcasts highlight reels and rewards external, visible success, it's very easy to fall into the trap of seeking validation externally, whether that be through specific titles that you get, or achievements, or appearances, or the approval of others. And social media does a very good job of teaching us, or trying to teach us, that our worth is measured by how we look or what we do and how we compare to other people. But the truth really is that real fulfillment and sustainable growth, real internal satisfaction, begins internally. It starts within. And the most important approval you will ever seek is your own approval, the approval that you give yourself. We often chase goals thinking they'll fix how we feel about ourselves. It's very easy, it's common to tell yourself, once I get there, I'll finally feel the way I want to feel. I'll finally feel complete. I'll finally feel whole. I'll finally feel proud, or like I matter. Only when I get that job, or only when I get into that relationship, only when I achieve X, Y, or Z, only then I'll be happy or satisfied or fulfilled. Whether it's landing your dream job, or getting some external recognition, or getting into the right relationship, or looking a specific way, having a specific physique, we attach our sense of worth to the outcome. It's tied directly to the outcome externally. And we treat achievement like a cure for the insecurity that we may be experiencing internally, the void that we may be experiencing internally. But something that I've come to realize is that the truth is, if the pursuit begins with a belief that you are not good enough as you are, if it's rooted in I am not good enough, no finish line, no external result, no external achievement will ever feel like enough, because it was never really about the goal. It was about trying to escape a feeling of inadequacy. And you can't outrun that feeling by stacking up external wins, or getting the recognition that you always wanted, or getting the dream job, or getting into the relationship. Because if the motivation to change, or to get to where it is you want to go, or to get to the goal, is rooted in fear, or in shame, or in comparison, or the need to prove yourself to others, even if you get this success, it'll feel hollow. If your starting point is a belief that you are not good enough as you are, no amount of success will truly satisfy you. The root of the pursuit isn't grounded in self-worth. It's rooted in fear, comparison, or like I said, just the desperate need to fit in. You may get the applause that you want, but still feel unseen. And that's because the root of the pursuit wasn't grounded in self-worth. It was grounded in a need to be validated, accepted, or fixed in some way. When your motivation is rooted in fear, or shame, or comparison, even if you get the success that you wanted, you're not going to feel the way that you want to feel, right? Like, you may accomplish what it is you set out to do and still feel empty, still feel unseen, even if you have a room full of people clapping for you. This is why internal validation is everything. Because when your desire to grow comes from a place of self-respect, comes from a place of honoring your potential, you're no longer chasing outcomes to feel worthy. You're moving forward because you already know who it is you are and how you want to show up in the world. If your desire to grow comes from a place of proving something to the world, you'll always be dependent on the world's response to feel worthy. However, when your drive stems from just the desire to fulfill your own potential and to become who it is you know ultimately deep down you can become, who you're capable of becoming, that's when everything changes, because your growth becomes rooted in self-acceptance, not self-criticism. You're growing because you honor yourself, you respect yourself, You're not trying to fix yourself. And this is why I think it's essential to just be conscious and aware and present and learn how to separate your internal validation and approval from external outcomes and results. I'm not going to sit here and say that, you shouldn't take feedback from what's going on externally. It's just about learning to remain open to feedback and using feedback as a tool for growth without letting it define your self-worth. When you don't get the result that you hoped you would get, you're still able to pause and say to yourself, I'm genuinely proud of the fact that I took a step outside of my comfort zone and showed up for myself, even if the outcome didn't go as planned. Being able to have that internal validation helps you stay centered, even when you face setbacks. With internal validation, you're not constantly questioning your worth based on what you did or the opinions of other people. You're just anchored in yourself. You're anchored in who it is you are. Giving yourself that internal validation is what gives you the ability to celebrate small wins. Waking up early when you told yourself you would wake up early, even when you didn't feel like it. Staying kind when it was hard to stay kind. You begin to see progress, not just in results, but in the way that you are growing, the way that you are evolving. And that kind of progress, the quiet, internal kind, is the most meaningful. External validation, on the other hand, is fleeting and inconsistent. One day you may be praised, the next day you're overlooked. If you're constantly waiting for that applause, to give yourself applause, you may be waiting forever. Always clapping for yourself because you know that you're making progress or you're trying your best, that's the most important thing. If you're showing up for yourself, that's worthy of an applause. If you're being yourself, that's worthy of an applause. That has nothing to do with what's going on externally. If your self-worth is tied to how the world responds, you'll always be chasing approval and fearing its absence. That's why external validation can never be the foundation for lasting self-belief. It just can't. That real confidence, that real inner peace comes when you turn within, when you build within, when your self-worth is rooted in your values, your effort, your truth. While external approval can feel great in the moment, let's not lie, getting the applause, likes, praise, recognition, it can provide very temporary feelings of, niceness, whatever you want to describe it as. It is cool, of course, but it's fleeting. It's conditional. When your self-worth depends on it, your confidence can become fragile because you start living in response to what others think instead of living in alignment with who it is you truly are. Internal approval, on the other hand, is anchored, right? You can tell yourself, I'm proud of the fact that I showed up for myself even when it was hard. Even when I didn't get the outcome that I hoped I would get, I'm still proud of the fact that I tried. I'm proud of the fact that I showed up today, right? I honored my values. I know I acted in accordance with the way that I want to act with my values, even when no one's watching. It doesn't rely on being seen or being rewarded externally. It's self-sustaining. And especially today, in a world filled with noise and people trying to grab your attention left, right, and center, and opinions and expectations, having that internal compass is so key. It's so important. Being a close friend of yourself and being able to rely on yourself, having that foundation internally. And just as an example to wrap up, this topic, you may be working really hard to get to a specific destination, to reach a specific goal. Maybe you're building something, you're creating something, you're putting yourself out there. External validation is unpredictable, right? You may really be working hard and you're not getting the recognition. But that external validation or approval is out of your control. The only approval you can fully control is your internal approval. You get to decide what success means. It's up to you to shape your own definition of what it means to grow, stay true to you, and live with authenticity. if you're showing up every single day because you have that goal, you have that vision, you know that you're putting in an honest effort, you're showing up for yourself, you're trying your best, you may not get the external approval or validation, but that's okay because you can give it to yourself. And that's going to give you confidence to continue to move forward, even when you aren't getting the recognition or aren't getting the outcomes that you would like. And just to continue using the example of working towards a specific goal or vision that you have in mind, most of the real work in that beginning stage is going to happen in private. No one sees the moments when you chose growth over comfort or when you showed up for yourself on a hard day. Like, that internal approval is what allows you to recognize and celebrate those quiet, small wins that no one else sees, right? You're able to tell yourself, I showed up today, even though it was hard, even when no one clapped. And that recognition, that internal approval is going to enable you to build more trust with yourself. If you're working towards a goal, that's hard enough. Don't be harder on yourself because you're waiting for external recognition or approval to continue to move forward. You got to be on your own team. You have to be a close friend of yourself so you're able to lean on yourself when the going gets tough. Without recognizing and appreciating those quiet wins, those small wins, it may be a lot harder for you to find the motivation to continue to move forward because you aren't recognizing the fact that you're making progress. And when there's no noticeable progress being made, or even if there is small progress being made, if it's not appreciated, if it's not recognized, of course you're going to lack motivation, right? Like you may think that you're stagnating or nothing's happening. That's why it's so important to, again, appreciate the progress, appreciate the fact that at least you're moving in the right direction. You're showing up for yourself. You're staying true to yourself. You are being yourself. You're acting and operating in a way that's in alignment with the way that you want to carry yourself, with your values. All of these things are wins. Recognizing those wins, giving yourself that internal validation, internal approval, that's so important in the beginning stages, always, but especially in the beginning stages of building something, growing something, going after a specific goal. I think it's so important. Until you believe you are good enough as you are, no achievement will ever truly feel like enough. Chasing goals to prove your worth is a race with no finish line. And because the need for validation never truly ends when it comes from outside of you, like, you're just going to be unhappy. You're going to be unfulfilled. When you grow from a place of wholeness instead of lack, every step forward becomes meaningful, and you stop chasing success to feel worthy. You stop chasing your goals to feel like enough. You just start creating and building a life that reflects the worth that you already see for yourself and already feel internally. You are good as you are now. Start really accepting that and telling yourself that. And you'll be able to take risks and take action toward your goals, giving yourself that internal approval, coming from a place of already feeling good with yourself, and you'll be able to enjoy the journey more. You'll be able to enjoy the process more. And that's something that I'm speaking firsthand from as I've continued to take action towards my goals. So thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of Presence of Being. I hope you got some value from listening to this. Let me know what you thought. DM me on Instagram at Presence of Being, or message me on TikTok at samwisebroad_. Go to presenceofbeing.co if you want to grab a hat and support what we're building here. And if you have any recommendations for anything that you want me to talk about, again, you can just always hit me up. I'm happy to chat. So thank you again for listening, and I will see you in the next recording very soon.